Well, hello there. Well, you've had a few reruns, haven't you? Well, don't blame me, that's Craig. He's had deer fever. And he said maybe too much of a good thing is not too good. So we're glad he's beginning to catch on. And we're just so glad that he's back and we've missed him. But I know that I've had to have a few reruns in the last few weeks. But anyway, we're fresh and ready to go tonight, and it's a delight to be with you all. Well, tonight we're going to talk about Jesus' last meal. I was just wondering tonight if you were having your last meal with the people that you love most in the world, what would you talk about? Would you talk about deer hunting? Would you talk about a game of cards? What would you talk about? Yeah. Maybe let's plan a fishing trip, or who won the game. Well, Jesus was having his last meal before the crucifixion. The upper room table was furnished, and there were 12 places, and then there was a place for Jesus. He was probably in the center so that he could look both ways as he talked to his disciples. On the way into Jerusalem, he had told them that he was going to Jerusalem to die. And so they didn't understand it all. I don't think I would have either. But there was a sense of foreboding at the dinner that night, that he was going to die, and there was gloom, and the disciples were wanting to hear everything he said, and they were listening very carefully, even though they didn't understand the repercussions of what he did say. Well, as the meal was wrapping up, Jesus got up and took a towel, and he put it on himself, and systematically he began to wash the disciples' feet. Well, Peter usually put his foot in his mouth, and he did that too, and he said, "Oh, no, I don't want you washing my feet." And Jesus said, "Peter, if I don't wash your feet," he said, "I don't wash you at all." And then Peter said, "Oh, then wash me all over." He just didn't get it. And then Jesus said, "When I'm gone," he said, I want you, he said, to wash one another's feet. So he was giving them an example again, and speaking of his demise in a few days. Well, on the way in, when Jesus said that for the first time, this was the first time that Peter spoke up, and he said, "Going to die at Jerusalem? No way. Why, I would fight. I would take care of you." And you know what Jesus said to him? "Get behind me, Satan. You don't savor the things that be of God, you are of men." And I'm sure that Peter felt very rebuked, and he was. And this was the second time when he said, "Wash me all over." So anyway, then Jesus didn't understand that this was going to be the night of betrayal, But he felt like he should tell his disciples. So he said, someone at the table is going to betray me. Well, a shockwave went over the whole group, and they all began to say, is it I? Is it I? Is it I? Is it I? And everyone was saying, it is I. Now already, Judas was across the table from him. The Bible said that it had been put in his mind what to do. And he was planning to go out that night, get the chief priest, and then let them know where Jesus would be, and then he would betray him with a kiss. It'll be the man that I kiss. So that was in his mind. Well, here's Peter again. He doesn't know betrayal. Who would even think of such a thing? And so he turned to John. And he figured if anybody's going to know anything, or Jesus would tell anything to anybody, he'd probably tell John, because John was the clinger. He was always just clinging on Jesus and laying his head down on his breast. He was just in love with Jesus. Not that the other people weren't, but it just showed in John a lot in the way he expressed himself. So Peter leans over and said, John, ask him who it is that's going to betray him. John said, Master, who is going to betray you? And so he said back to John, whosoever I give the sop to. Now the sop was something that after the meal they would put in a container of liquid and sort of suck on it, eat on it, and probably maybe like dessert, I don't know. But anyhow, he said, I'm going to give it to the one who will betray me. So they watched. And the rest of the disciples never got it at all. But he took it, and he dipped it, and he gave it over to Judas. And then he said to Judas, what you do, do quickly. And it was at that point, the Bible said, now this wasn't just in his mind. No, the Bible said that Satan entered his heart. Now this meant he was demon-possessed. When he walked from that table, he went right to the high priest and told them all, and they paid him off and gave him 30 pieces of silver. And he said, all right, now I know where he'll go from here. He'll go to Gethsemane, out there among the olive trees. Now he said, when we get there, you'll know for sure which one. Well, I don't know why they had to be told, but anyway, he said, you will know because I will go up to him and kiss him. How diabolical can you get? And how deceptive you can get. Well, anyway, when we read that and everything, it seems like we have that feeling, and we just don't like Judas at all. And so Judas had seen the same miracles, the same healings. He did everything to give those 12 men. And he even said one time before that, he said, I call 12 of you, but one of you is a devil. So he knew Judas, and he knew Judas' heart. But it still was a grief at him because he had walked with him. He had seen him with children. He had seen him raise people from the dead. And here he turned his back and betrayed him. And so Peter speaks up again. Well, I don't know. And we have this feeling, I would never. Oh. The Bible said, take heed lest you fall. because sometimes we don't know our own heart. And the Bible tells us that we are to be very, very careful, because Peter had said, I would never do this. And he says, Peter, listen to me. Tomorrow morning, before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times. Me? Never. And when that cock crew, he had already betrayed him and told him 3 times, or denied him. I don't want to say betrayed him. He denied him. And I didn't know the man. I didn't know the man. And fear gripped him that maybe they were going to haul him away too. In effect, it hit all the disciples, and they all fled. Well, anyway, the Bible says this about the time that you say, I would never. The Bible said this, be not high-minded, but fear, lest you fall from your steadfastness. Sometimes you think you're just too steadfast to fall. And the Bible says, don't be high-minded, but fear. So there's something really in that. Don't fall from your own steadfastness. So a lot of people have had a false ego, and they said, I would never. Well, I was thinking, who will stand when this world is called into we'll never even know what the tribulation and what those days and what those weeks are going to be like. But even before then, the world would be pretty topsy-turvy. And if we haven't made a decision by that time, that whatever, count us in, Lord, it'll be very hard to do it then, to make a decision. So I'm just going to want to say tonight that it's just a good time to humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, that He might exalt you in time. God is all about exalting. He's not it grieves Him terribly to have to say to someone, I never knew you. I can't even imagine such a thing. But He will have to do that. To even some people now, that if the line was drawn in the sand, they wouldn't have courage enough to say, I'm with you, Lord. Now, I'm just going to play a little song. It's called I Love You. I love you. I love you. I love you, written in red. That's what Calvary said. I love you. I love you. Written in And sometimes we just have to concentrate. What did the Lord really do for me? asking that need to do that. And hear that welcome. And speak it back or sing it. That's all there is to it. Sing with me. I love you. I love you. That's what Calvary said. I love you. I love you. I love you. Written It's been good to be in your home tonight, and I pray that this will be a blessed week for you. Ruth and Polston from the Life That Wins. Have a good week.